Kevin Borba of Locked On Buffs. Deion Sanders ahead of the BYU game. Rivals says he bought the entire team disability insurance. What is going on here? And is this necessary? Is this the future of college football? What do we make of Deion's move?
Yeah, it's interesting how many people they're saying got it. I know for sure Shedeur, and Travis got it. But I think it's a respectable thing by Deion Sanders, right? Because them playing speaks to the culture that he's built. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that, right? Everyone gets caught up in, oh, he's so flashy and blah, blah, blah. Like there has been a lot of players that got in trouble, if any, under his program. There's been very minimal, if any, opt-outs. Obviously, the guys that leave the program don't play. But I think he's built a great culture here. And so in exchange for the players risking their NFL careers, right? Because we've seen guys like Jalen Smith, countless names go down the list where I think Matt Corral was one as well, where these guys take a chance in playing these bowl games and then they get hurt and it plummets their draft stock or craters their draft stock, So I think from Deion Sanders, it's like a sign of good faith and a sign of like, hey, thank you. We appreciate what you did for this program. We understand you're taking this risk. And so by that, we're going to reward you for that. I think that's the ultimate sort of culture that you want, right? Where I think it's very ironic when players, they leave these teams via the portal and they're like, I'll always bleed red and blue or red and black or green and whatever. And it's like, but I'm not playing in the bowl game. And it's like, okay, well, how can you bleed that color if you're leaving the team? That's just my take on it. So really cool efforts. And in terms of it being the future of college football, I'd say no. I don't think most programs are willing to do this. Maybe if it's a program who knows that they're not going to lose a lot of players via the transfer portal, right? I think it's kind of it's a touchy thing, Drake, because you're basically giving away money if things go wrong. So you don't want that to happen. And I just don't think there's a lot of coaches out there that value the players as much as Deion Sanders does on a personal level, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Kevin, is this because BYU is just really physical and they think the Colorado players will get hurt?
It could be, the BYU players are going to pop a couple Diet Cokes and be ready for the day.
I don't believe that overall will be the case. BYU will be ready for sure, but this isn't a headhunting deal or Colorado being worried about the Cougars. That said, is this a recruiting pitch? I've mentioned before, if Eli Drinkwitz, who's a master recruiter, walks in your living room, you listen to that guy, the head coach of Missouri. But if Deion Sanders follows him up with Super Bowl rings, you're like, you know what? I think I know where I'm going. And now he can flash, hey, kid, come play for our school. You'll get 13 games in because that 13th game, if you get hurt, you have insurance on you. Is this a recruiting move?
I think it can be. I think that's a great point because realistically, you're selling, and I think Deion Sanders sells this all the time, is one, you play for him. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the best athletes ever. There's a lot of former NFL guys on staff. So you're going to get, and it made me laugh when Bill Belichick was hired because he comes up with this idea where it's like, it's going to be run like an NFL team, an NFL franchise. And it's like Deion Sanders has been doing that. When he pitched it, everyone hated it. But hey, that's just how life goes sometimes. But yeah, you're going to be coached by NFL guys who made it to where you want to go. And Deion Sanders has said many times he cares about players' future, right? I don't think a lot of people see this, but in those well-off media videos, every once in a while, he's telling guys like, hey, you need a plan for life after football because football is not forever. And I think this is a prime example of him caring about their future. And so I think that's a perfect pitch to recruits is like, hey, I care about you regardless of what you're doing, right? I care about you if you're going to go be an electrician, and I care about you if you're going to pursue an NFL career. And I think the best way to show that care is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And so I think that's a unique recruiting pitch because I don't think everyone would be willing to do that.
Yeah, I want to go back and put foot in mouth for me, eat crow, which doesn't taste very good. But I said earlier this year, Deion Sanders could be a culture poison, and that was wrong. It was completely incorrect, and that was based off of losing football games last season, the way he treated the media in August. And I don't agree with everything still, but poison was the wrong word, the wrong approach. And I do think he's got the best interest of every player at heart. And just a fun aside, yeah, when he walked in the front doors and said, I'm bringing Louis, and he started kicking out players one by one, walks them in. He's got sunglasses on. Sorry, not in our program anymore. Those weren't his players. He had no loyalty to them and didn't need to have loyalty to them. He was building his own program, and that was the most efficient way to do it. Line them up down the hall, say thanks for your time, see you later. Sorry that was you. You weren't good enough to play for a Buffs team that is now competing. Kevin, as far as this insurance policy thing goes, can you help me even conceptualize the number? We're looking at two players, at least in Shedeur and Travis, who are top 5, top 10 draft picks. The millions of dollars tied to their name. I can't imagine, even for a game, what an insurance policy like this must cost.
Yeah, the insurance policy is all relative to sort of like where you're, I guess, projected to end up. And so obviously, like say I'm a kicker and I'm going up against Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's policies are probably a little bit more than mine, right? Like Travis Hunter, two-way guy, Shedeur Sanders, top quarterback in the class. Like these are 2 top 5 picks or projected top 5 picks. So I think their policy is well into the millions. And I think it's all relative to sort of how you are viewed as a prospect. Obviously, there's other guys on the team who maybe they got policies as well, where it's like, okay, you're a late day 3 pick, so you will get some money, but it's not the same. And I think for those who think that's unfair, that is this thing we call life.
Yeah. To me, those millions of dollars, it would, and the last thing you want, the last thing you expect, it's probably the last thing that happens, knocking on wood, is a career-ending injury. But at that point, the insurance company is going, oh, shoot. Yeah. That valuation is stunning, whatever it would be for a Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter, namely. Borba, before we go into recruiting and Colorado and the transfer portal and all that mess, this Deion Sanders care for his players, and we talked about the recruiting impact that it makes and going to this bowl game and the insurance policies, all of this. How is the impact of Deion Sanders, not just in that way, but financially, fiscally, benefited Colorado?
Yeah, I think that's the craziest part. And Deion Sanders has brought Boulder alive. And I don't want to say that Boulder wasn't already a college town. Boulder's always been a college town. They've always had a lot of fans relative to their success, right? Boulder, I don't know if people remember, but they stormed the field in Colorado when they won that one game against Cal a couple of years ago. But Deion Sanders has boosted the local economy by hundreds of percents. He's boosted all of their revenue in terms of merch and tickets and everything imaginable. He's boosted their applicants in terms of diversity. So Deion Sanders has been nothing short of I don't say a saint for Colorado, but because of our bad experience with Saints on the Jose Grande squad, but he has been a huge, huge boost for Colorado and their market and the local economy. And I also think, and it's hard to measure this. Obviously, you can measure it by views and social media followings, which also tripled and stuff like that. But He's also brought fandom to a sport of college football that didn't need help with fandom, but he's brought it to a non-traditional program, right? And I think that was one of the biggest pushbacks people had when he first started was, oh, he's not in the SEC. Oh, he's not Florida State. He's not Clemson. Why do we care? And I think people forget that it's really unique and special for a program like Colorado, who isn't a traditional power, to have fans all over the country, to be playing in primetime games every game. They were televised every game, which is a rarity in college football. I think they were the only team to do that. And so Deion Sanders has changed the landscape of not just the program, but the school, right? You're getting NIL funding from more people. You're getting national attention from Samuel L. Jackson's tweeting about games. You have Terrell Owens on the sidelines. You have all of these superstars, Kevin Durant, rappers galore, 2 Chainz. All of these guys care about Colorado now. So I think he's brought Colorado to a whole other status. And I think people who don't recognize that are unable to separate their disdain for Deion Sanders with what he's doing for this program.
Coming up, recruiting stars are being stolen by 24/7 and ESPN. This is Locked On Big 12, Locked On Buffs crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are coming up. Make the most of the end of the regular season at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if that bet hits, you get $250 in bonus bets. That's right. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I like betting on which player will score a touchdown. Derrick Henry, probably going to score a touchdown. So I go put money on that at FanDuel, and FanDuel says, oh, he scored. Here's your money back. Also, not just the players to score a touchdown, but the teams to score a whole lot of them. You can bet on team totals, over and under, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.